What's the, what is, okay. All right, here,
So-
I don't know what I'm doing. Am I on a kid's show? What is this? The elephant in the room. What's the elephant in the room?
Well, that's what we're wondering if you have any take on.
Well, I think the elephant in the room is Hollywood is making movies for the mob on social media and not for general audiences. When you look at the successes that have been the biggest films of the year, they've all been very mainstream movies, Top Gun Maverick being among them, right? And I think that there's a whole section of the audience that has felt alienated by the infusion of too much agenda. And really, you know, I go to the movies to escape. I go to the movies to get involved in someone's story. And that story, and that person whose story that I'm experiencing through their eyes may not even look like me, may not be the same gender as I am, may not be the same ethnicity. I don't care. I want to be involved in a human story that I can relate to. And by relate to, I don't mean I need to see someone who looks exactly like myself. I think that what needs to happen is that the films that Hollywood makes should really be reflective of the actual audience that goes to the movies. We have seen this year, as we've, you know, gotten past the before times, so to speak, the lowest box office, while we've had box office hits, we have had far less tickets sold in the United States. I mean, most recently, by the end of the summer and going into the fall, some of the worst weekends we've ever seen. Now, there'll always be a #1 movie at the box office, but when compared to previous years, Hollywood has certainly not recovered. I think part of that is that the habit of going to the movies has been lost. I think that the specialness of big tentpole Hollywood movies has been diminished by the shortened window. You know, hey, it's in the theaters. I'll wait and I'll see it later on my 4K 75-inch TV. What is going to get audiences back to the box office? And it's telling stories that are more universal. And that means getting away from lecturing and getting away from identity politics and really stop infusing agenda into what should be universal storytelling. It's unfortunate because it used to be a thing where we'd all go to the movies and we'd be talking about it the next week, right? We would have discussions. I liked it, I didn't like it. My opinion about that film is different than yours. That's fine. I love to disagree with people about film. My favorite conversations I've ever had, people I disagreed with vehemently. I love it. It's the conversation is the point. It's not, I'm not trying to be right, okay? Because we all have different experiences. We experience, you know, films differently. So I'm still sitting here with this elephant. It's gonna, but I think really Hollywood needs to get back to who is the core audience? How can we appeal to the most people, but in a way that doesn't seem pandering? And can there even be an American identity? I think this is kind of the problem right now. Like we disagree on so many issues that I think that's a difficult task. So, boy, the challenges are out there for Hollywood, but just get back to the core, entertaining people.
And is the mob, quote unquote, mob on social media, the new focus group?
It's unfortunate that the mob on social media is the focus group that's being listened to. I mean, focus groups can be useful, right? Hey, the movie's 15 minutes too long. We're looking where can we find 15 minutes to cut out? You know, I think that the mob on social media is very vocal, but they're not your core customer. And studios need to stop listening to the mob. That's the elephant in the room. Stop listening to the mob. Listen to the elephant in the room.
We're not talking Goodfellas here.
No, yeah, exactly. Stop listening to social media mobs that go after people. These are people that are bored and generally sad because they've got the time to express whatever their horrific and annoying opinion is. Get away from it. Stay true. Make a film that is going to move people. I really do think we're going to look back on this era of filmmaking and think, how did so many bad movies get made? And I hope that I'm there to be able to look back and go, oof, why did they make that Pinocchio movie with Tom Hanks? And then someone's going to say, wait a sec, they made a Pinocchio live action movie with Tom Hanks. Oh my God, I saw it. You're not going to believe it. It actually exists.
I'm going to name 12 movies, 12 woke movies,
Okay.
quote unquote. And I'd love to hear your reaction. Okay?
Sure.
So first one, Thelma and Louise.
Thelma and Louise could be considered woke. Having said that, I don't consider that movie in the sense of how we see woke today, because I don't feel it doesn't lecture. I don't feel like I'm being lectured to in that film. But yeah, that has, I would say that it definitely has progressive messages, but I wouldn't even really necessarily put that in a woke category. For me personally, I think there's a different way that messages have been infused into Hollywood in the past, and it's very different now, where the messaging is right on the nose, and you're being told you're a bad person if you don't actually like the movie. Like if you don't like this movie, you're a racist, or if you don't like this movie, you're a sexist, or how could you not like this movie because this person made it? I kind of call BS on that. So, and I don't necessarily consider, it's certainly a feminist film, for sure. You know, I don't have a problem with it.
Do the Right Thing, Get Out, Fruitvale Station, Mad Max Fury Road, Straight Outta Compton, All About Eve, Mean Girls, Philadelphia, Remember the Titans, Glory, and Hidden Figures.
I don't know that I would call those all woke films. There's certainly movies that all have messages, right? And look, Hollywood films have always been filled with messages. I think what's new today is that the messaging is infused in a more overt way. It used to be underneath the surface. The messages used to be the subtext of the film. You know, for example, you know, just like Dances with Wolves, right, has a lot of messages in it, but it's just right there. I think that a lot of films that are coming out now, and the reason people are reacting so poorly is that audiences are being judged based on if they like a movie or not. You're free to not like Thelma and Louise. You're free to not like Do the Right Thing. You're free to not like those films. That's perfectly fine. But it doesn't make, but what I think is interesting is they're trying to make people out to be bad for having a different opinion about a movie. I've never seen this in my life. And I think that's kind of, I think that's what's turned a lot of people off to a movie they may actually enjoy, but refuse to see. There's a recent example of that, the movie The Woman King, which I think The Woman King was completely misrepresented in its marketing. It was marketed to be one thing, and then the movie is something else. There's much more to the film. And I've never seen this happen in the time that I've been around, where an audience is being accused of being sexist or racist for not liking a film or a particular filmmaker. You're free to not like those things. And the fact that people feel like they have to go along with sort of the what they think is the majority of people in their peer group, well, everyone thinks this, so I'm gonna also think that. And I just find that kind of weak-minded. I always like people who have different opinions about films. But it's unbelievable to me that people's opinion can vilify them or make people look differently. How could you not like this? How could you not like this particular film or filmmaker? Never seen that ever before. And I find it kind of shocking. What I think is most disheartening is when you see like a studio kind of use it almost like a marketing strategy. You know, this was done with Amazon and the Rings of Power. They tried to accuse audiences of being racist for not liking the diverse cast. And there's quite a crossover audience between fans of Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. And so HBO comes out with House of the Dragon. Well, that's also a diverse cast, and people love that show. So what is it? The same fans who were accused of being racist for not liking the character of Reva in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series were also the same fans who begged to please put Lando Calrissian in a Star Wars movie. Same fans. Please, can you put Mace Windu, played by Samuel L. Jackson, please put him in the Kenobi series. You can't accuse these fans of those kinds of things. I think it's really disingenuous on the studio's parts. And I think what they're doing is that they're sort of shielding themselves from criticism by making certain creative choices. And the fans can like it or not like it, whatever. But I don't think they're racist for not liking a particular film or character. You know, some characters resonate. Lando Calrissian is a badass. Love him. People love the character of Mace Windu. And what's weird is so many today think like, well, this is the first time we've ever had a character of color in a film. When you look back, in particular genre, science fiction and fantasy has had diverse casts from the beginning, you know, back in the 70s. So this is not new. What's new is using it as a piece of marketing and weaponizing it against audiences. To me, it's always a losing strategy. It's always a losing strategy to do that. Let the work speak for itself. If people don't like it, don't vilify your audience.